meeting is being recorded.
Hare Krishna, welcome to all the devotees to our class on the Nectar of Devotion. We are today discussing chapter number 7. We will discuss chapter number 7 of this book in two parts. And the title of this chapter is Evidence Regarding Devotional Principles. Today is our ninth class on the Nectar of Devotion course, which we started. I will request Rakesh ji, Prabhuji, please can you lead us for Mangalacharan auspicious prayers, auspicious invocations?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you, Prabhuji. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
Thank you, Rakesh Prabhu. Very nicely chanted Mangalacharan prayers. Now we will come to the summary of class 8. The previous class, we had requested Manish ji from Singapore, my good colleague from Shell, to prepare the summary. Prabhuji very kindly prepared the summary, but because of some medical issues, Prabhu mentioned that he would be joining the class most likely late, and that is the reason he requested me to present the summary on his behalf. So now in the previous class, we had covered two chapters, chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. Chapter number 5 was titled as Purity of Devotional Service, and chapter number 6 is titled as How to Discharge Devotional Service. So in chapter number 5, we are talking about purity, how bhakti is pure, and in chapter number 6, there was a long list of items telling us about how to discharge devotional service. So let us recap the previous class. As I mentioned, chapter 5 is about purity of devotional service. What exactly does it mean? We explained in the class that it means that bhakti is independent. And what does it mean that bhakti is independent? It means that it does not require any prerequisite qualifications. And we explained that what do we mean by prerequisite qualification? Like, for example, we gave the example of engineering and medicine. If somebody wants to take admission in an engineering college, the person need to fulfill some requirements. He should be or she should be uh, at least have done 12th standard in physics, chemistry, mathematics. I mean, specifically that is the requirement in India, and like that there are several requirements. And then only if you fulfill those requirements, you can do engineering. Similarly, any other branch of study, specifically in the material world, we require some prerequisite qualification. But bhakti is not requiring any qualification. Only qualification needed is uh, that we need to be a human being. Other processes of transcendence, like for example Gyan Yoga, Ashtang Yoga, Karmikand, etc., all have some prerequisites. For Gyan Yoga, one must have a very a very renounced disposition. Also, the person should have a high intellectual capability. Similarly, for Ashtang Yoga, the renunciation is required of a very high standard, and karma kanda activities require some uh, following of rules and regulation. For example, if we have to do a havan or yagya, that has to be done at a proper time, at a proper muhurt, by proper brahmanas who are well versed in chanting of Vedic hymns, Vedic mantras, etc. So every other branch of transcendence, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Kanda, etc., have some prerequisites. Bhakti is pure, it is independent, it is not requiring any prerequisite qualifications. So that is the meaning of why we call bhakti is pure, devotional service is pure. Qualification of Vaidhi Bhakti, as I mentioned, if people are interested in starting bhakti, then there is no qualification. Only qualification is one need to be a human being. I mean, cats and dogs cannot perform bhakti. Then we, item by item, we went. Rup Goswami has given different references from scriptures, specifically regarding birth, regarding purity, regarding varnashram dharma. That if you are of a low birth, then also you can follow bhakti. If you are not pure, you have a impure consciousness, then also you can follow bhakti. And rules and regulation of varnashram dharma also, uh, if you are not following, then also you can follow Vaidhi Bhakti. And there were references given by Rup Goswami regarding birth, regarding purity, regarding varnashram dharma, that it is not a hindrance. Anyone, or as I mentioned, anyone who is a human being actually is qualified to perform Vaidhi Bhakti. Like I mentioned, various examples, references were discussed. I'm not going into the detail of those references. You can hear the class from the past. And then how to perform Vaidhi Bhakti. A list of 64 limbs were briefly discussed. What I did was I prepared a list of all the 64 items, and I just briefly mentioned what does those item mean, and very briefly elaborated on each of those items. And these 64 items have been classified in a particular way. Item number 1 to 10 are do's. We need to do them. In Sanskrit, we call it pravritti. Item 11 to 20 in the list were the don'ts. That means nivritti. Do's means that we need to positively do them. Don'ts means we need to avoid those kind of items or those kind of activities. That what don'ts mean. Then there were 44 additional items given from item 1 in the list. This should be item number 21 to 64. And among these 44 items, the last 5 items were most effective, as suggested by Srila Rupa Goswami. And these last 5 items I have listed down here for a recap. These are deity worship, uh, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then associating with the devotees, then chanting of the holy names, Nam Sankirtan, and then Mathuravas, that means living in a holy place. So this is the nutshell of the previous class, a very quick summary of the previous class. Now let us start the class for today. And today's class we are going to elaborate on item number 1 to 10. Hmm. In this list we are going to elaborate item number 1 to 10. Before I enter into the discussion of our today's class, I would once again like to uh, show you where we are. So these are the list of chapters of Nectar of Devotion, and in parallel, I have mapped them with the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu verses. So right now we are on chapter number 7. What we are doing is, whatever list we have discussed of 64 items, we are now going to give evidences from the scriptures, or I would say Rup Goswami is going to give evidences from the scriptures regarding these devotional activities or principles. And these are typically we are covering from 97 verse till verse number 117. We will not go till 117 today. We will stop somewhere in the middle. We are covering only the first 10 items. That's what we are doing. And but I would also spend maybe 2-3 minutes once again on this slide, because some of the devotees have uh, mentioned and gave me this feedback. The book is a little technical, and they are finding a little bit difficult to grasp each of these concepts. So I'm once again repeating these concepts. Some of you might have already picked up those concepts, but some of you who may not have picked up those concepts, maybe if I repeat them, maybe it is a little bit easier for you to once again grasp them. So, uh, like we started this discussion with the preface of Nectar of Devotion book. In preface, primarily we discussed the concept of rasa, and we defined rasa as taste, juice. The living entity, when they perform any activity, they derive some pleasure, they derive some taste out of that activity. Or we also mentioned about in relationship. uh, so activity, we derive some taste, or in a relationship also, if we are in a relationship with a person, as a friend, as a parent, as a husband, or maybe as a servant, or as a master, etc., etc., there is a specific taste that we derive. And we discuss this concept of rasa mainly to define further the difference between mundane rasa and bhakti rasa. Mundane rasa, we define the characteristics, and similarly we define the characteristics of bhakti rasa. For bhakti rasa, we specifically define the characteristics that these activities are eternal. The taste that we derive, or the pleasure that we derive, is eternal, and it is long lasting, it is enduring. uh, and then ultimately we described about bhakti in general. And when we described about bhakti in general, we discussed about the definition of uttama bhakti. Hmm. So uttama bhakti we defined as an activity, shilanam. Then we defined uttama bhakti as anushilanam, means it has to be done not as per somebody's whims or fancies, it has to be done according to some rules and regulation, uttama bhakti, under some guidance. Then it should be Krishna Anushilanam. It should be done for Krishna. Here, Krishna would mean Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna's expansion, uh, uh, the Guru Janas who are teaching us about Krishna, or the devotees who are worshipping Lord Krishna. So, all of these category of people fall under the category of Krishna Anushilanam. And then it has to be Anukulyana. It has to be done with a right intent. Uh, that is Anukulyana, Krishna Anushilanam. That is the primary definition of bhakti, uttama bhakti, that we defined. Then we further defined bhakti into three parts. One is sadhan bhakti, then bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. We defined sadhan bhakti. Sadhan means ways and means. Sadhan bhakti would mean, the definition was that we utilize our senses and our mind to do some activity. As we defined, uttama bhakti is, it's an activity done for Krishna, favorable activity done for Krishna. So sadhan bhakti is defined as favorable activity done for Krishna using our mind and senses. Using our mind and senses. There are 10 senses, 5 gyan senses, 5 karma senses. Gyan senses are ear, nose, etc. Working senses are hands, legs, etc., and mind. So these uh, sadhan bhakti definition was an activity done using mind and senses. Then we are not going to the definition of bhav bhakti and prema bhakti, just to avoid you confusing about them. So uttama bhakti, then sadhan bhakti, and then vaidhi sadhan bhakti. Sadhan bhakti is defined as divided into two categories: vaidhi sadhan and raga nuga sadhan. So vaidhi sadhan means, the word vaidhi comes from the word vidhi, vidhi and vidhan, rules and regulations. And where are these rules and regulations written? These rules and regulations are written in scriptures. So sadhan bhakti, which means done with our senses and our mind, but when it is done as per the rules and regulations defined in the scriptures, then it is known as Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. Now there is another sadhan bhakti which is not, which is raga nuga sadhan bhakti. This raga nuga sadhan bhakti is not done using rules and regulation. There is a different approach to Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. We will define that Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti when we come to that chapter. But right now, just to make things very simple for the devotees, I would request that you focus only on Uttam Bhakti. The definition, as I mentioned, activity done for Krishna in a favorable way, in the right intention. Then Sadhan Bhakti means using your senses and the mind to do that activity for Krishna. And how that senses and mind should be applied, it has to be applied as per some Vidhi and Vidhan, and that is called Vidhi Sadhan Bhakti. These Vidhi and Vidhan are written in the scriptures. So Uttam Bhakti, Sadhan Bhakti, and Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. If you understand these three for the time being, that is good. Now, connecting all this with the rasa. Rasa, as I mentioned, is a taste. And we define that when you do bhakti, you get a different taste. When you do some mundane activity, a normal material activity in your life, you get a different taste. Hmm? So, the taste that we get from bhakti, we can derive that taste by doing the activities of Vedi Sadhan Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti or Bhav Bhakti or Prem Bhakti. That taste we can define. But for people like us, Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti who are following rules and regulations to do that Bhakti, that taste we can derive. And those activities are we are going to discuss today in the 64 limbs of Vaidhi Bhakti. So that is the connection between these different definitions of Uttam Sadhan and Vaidhi Sadhan to the concept of rasa. Yeah, the book that is titled is as Bhakti Ras Amrit Sindhu. Yeah, it is Amrit. The activities that we are going to do in Bhakti, which are we are going to define today, 64 limbs of Vedi Bhakti. By doing these activities, we are going to get that Amrit Rasa. We are going to get that nectarian taste which we cannot experience in our mundane activities that we do, the material activities that we do. So bhakti activities are different and mundane activities are different. So that is the connection between the activities of bhakti and the concept of rasa, which we discussed in our preface. So I'm summarizing all that. And then Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, because it is based on scriptures, that is where we define three adhikaris. The Uttama Adhikari is who is very much learned in scriptures. The Madhyama Adhikari is learned in scriptures but cannot convince others. Sometimes he cannot convince others about the purports and the meaning of scriptures. And then the last one is the Kanishta Adhikari. Then we discussed about four Sukritinas. Then we discussed about Bhakti's independent purity of Bhakti, and then ultimately 64 limbs of Vedi Bhakti. So these 64 limbs of Vedi Bhakti is a very important concept for devotees who are really interested in taking their devotional service to a very high level. If you sincerely follow these 64 limbs of Vedi Bhakti, it is as Rup Goswami is identifying these 64 limbs, you can get that Bhakti Ras Amrit. You can get that Ras Amrit of Bhakti, and that Ras and that Amrit of Bhakti, which you can get by performing these 64 limbs of Vedi Bhakti. You will not be able to get them by performing mundane activities. So that is why understanding these 64 limbs of Vedi Bhakti is very important. It's a practical aspect of Bhakti. As I mentioned, it is an activity done for Krishna. So need to be understood in a very nice manner. And that is why I will not cut short on time. I will not go fast. I will try to explain each and every limb of the 64 items to the satisfaction, at least to my heart satisfaction. Still, if you find any of those limbs is not is difficult for you to understand, you can always ask these questions, and we can discuss them separately also. So okay, now we start that list. Before I start that list, I like to just once again go back to this verse number 96, where in the last line of this verse, Srila Rup Goswami is mentioning Arshamata. Arshamata actually means according to Vedic scriptures. So what Srila Rup Goswami did was, in the last class, as we mentioned, we discussed all that list of 64 items. We named each of these items, and then we mentioned that now, and then Rup Goswami mentioned that now scriptural evidence will be given to explain each of these items. And when he says that, Rup Goswami says that, he used this word called Arshmata. Arshmata means according to Vedic literature. Now, an important point which I want to highlight here is, let us see how Srila Rup Goswami is approaching and explaining these things. Srila Rup Goswami could have very easily mentioned that I am giving this list of 64 items because my guru Sanatan Goswami has told me that these 64 items are good enough. You can quote them and you can mention them in your Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But Srila Rup Goswami is not giving evidence according to his guru. He is giving evidence according to Shastra. So the important concept which I want to highlight here is that when it comes to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, three authorities that we follow in order to accept any scriptural principle, any spiritual principle, there are three authorities that we need to follow: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Then the topmost authority among the three is Shastra. So Rup Goswami in this particular verse is not saying that I'm giving you these evidences because I heard it from my guru. He is actually quoting from Shastra. So Shastra is the most important praman. Praman means evidence. Whenever we are talking in Vedic circles, when we are talking anything about Vedic knowledge and so on, we should be very, very much conversant about the praman as given in the Shastra. The praman in the Shastra is universally accepted praman. It's a universally accepted praman. So, and that is the way acharyas also quote and give their commentaries, their writings in on Vedic literature. If even any writing that you see from any acharya, any Vaishnava acharya or any exalted acharya or any acharya for that matter, you will see uh, the commentaries will be replete with quotations from Vedic literature, because such and such Upanishad mentions this, because such and such Purana mentions this, and so on, like that. So evidence from scripture is the universally accepted praman, and that is the way acharyas quote Vedic literature. So many of us are following Srila Prabhupada's book, and Srila Prabhupada also has stressed on how to give these praman. So this is an excerpt from a lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave on Srimad Bhagavatam on 22nd February 1971. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here, sometimes we argue, somebody has said like this, some Mahatma has said like this. That is not a very valued argument. Valued argument is when you quote from the Vedic literature, that is valuable. Ved Praman, Shruti Praman. The Shruti Praman is accepted amongst the authorities. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the acharyas, they write comments on an authoritative book, immediately giving quotations from Vedas to support his comments. Otherwise, a personal comment has no meaning. If I comment on some Vedic literature on my personal point of view, that is useless. It has no meaning. But it is going on. Oh, such and such person. So you can see even Srila Prabhupada also stressed the importance of quoting from the Vedic literature to support your argument, to support whatever you are going to say. And that is also the way our acharyas have done throughout their commentaries that they have written on the various Vedic literature like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, various Upanishads, etc. Okay, starting now from limb number 1, which is Guru Pad Ashraya. Guru Pad Ashraya. What does it mean? Pad means feet, Ashraya means shelter. So taking shelter of a guru, taking shelter of the lotus feet of a guru. In the bracket, you will see the verse number as it appears in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And here, just underneath this first line, you will see the reference praman that Srila Rup Goswami is giving. Here, Srila Rup Goswami is giving praman from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Here, in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasuhu Shreya Uttamam Shabde Pare Cha Nishnatam Brahmani Upa Shamashrayam. Shabde Pare Cha Nishnatam Brahmani Upa Shamashrayam. Now, this Sanskrit I have tried to simplify just by uh, mentioning it in 2 bullet points. Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta. Tasmad means therefore. Gurum Prapadyeta. Gurum Prapadyeta means approach a spiritual master. Therefore, one should approach a spiritual master. Prapadyeta Jigyasuhu Shreya Uttamam. Prapadyeta. Prapadyeta means take shelter of or to surrender to the spiritual master. And who will surrender to the spiritual master? There are 2 words mentioned in the verse, Jigyasuhu Shreya Uttamam. Jigyasu means curious and Shreya Uttamam. Shreya Uttamam means the topmost, and Shreya means for our benefit. So who approaches a guru? Those persons approaches a guru who desire their topmost benefit in life and who are curious to know that topmost benefit. The what is that knowledge which is most beneficial for my life? And a person is really curious about it. Curious means he's very serious about it. He's very eager to know about it. Please, I just want to know what is the best thing in my life which I should learn. So that is the qualification of a seeker. He should be curious and he should actually look for Shreya Uttamam. What is the topmost benefit that I can derive from this life? So who approaches the Guru? One who is curious to know the highest good. Then in the second line, the qualification of Guru are mentioned. And what are those second line? Shabde pare cha nishnatam. Shabde pare cha nishnatam. Brahmani upa shamashrayam. Brahmani upa shamashrayam. Now there are 3 qualifications mentioned in the second line. The first qualification is Shabde nishnatam. The person should be the person who is qualified to become a guru. That person should be fully conversant. The word used in the second line is nishnatam. Nishnat means real conversant, real expert, deep expert. In what activities? Shabde. Shabde word comes from Shabda. Shabda actually means Vedic literature. So he should be fully conversant of Shabda Brahman. Shabde, and then Parabrahman. Parecha Nishnatam. Then the second qualification is Parabrahman. And then the third qualification is Upashamashrayam. Upashamashrayam means fully satiated, renounced, having no more desires. Now I will elaborate on what do you mean by Shabda Brahman, Parabrahman, and the third activity, third item, Upashamashrayam, in the next slide. So Shabda Brahman means expert in Shabda. Now in Shabda means Vedic literature. Vedic literature is very huge. There are a lot of books, there are a lot of scriptures that qualify as under Vedic literature, under the terminology Vedic literature. But here, while commenting on this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has mentioned Shabde means in the Bhakti scriptures. In the Bhakti scriptures. Now, this Guru should be expert in Shabda Brahman. And this Shabda Brahman means expert in the knowledge of Bhakti literature. And what is the Bhakti literature? Bhakti literature primarily is Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. So these are 2 primary books of importance that qualify under Bhakti literature. There are many other Bhakti books, but these are some 2 prime Bhakti books. So he should be expert in the knowledge of Bhakti literature. Then Parabrahman. Parabrahman means expert in hearing and chanting about the Lord. So one is about the Vedic literature, but then another thing is the external activity that he does. He should be expert in hearing. He should be very much expert in hearing the Krishna Katha. He should understand how to, he should have the right etiquette, right mood uh, to hear Krishna Katha. He should also have the right understanding of how to chant about the Lord. So, speaking about the Lord, chanting about the Lord, chanting Lord's holy name also is not something a very mechanical activity or only a mundane activity. There are rules, regulations, there are a lot of guidance given uh, uh, on how to hear and chant about the Lord. So he should be Nishnat. Nishnat means expert, fully conversant on Shabda Brahman and Para Brahman. And internally, uh, what should be his consciousness like? He should be fully satiated. Fully satiated means santushta. He should be really fully satiated. I mean, he should not have any more desires. He should be renounced in his spirit. He should not be hankering for material name, fame, lot of lot of wealth, all that. He should not hanker for that. And where do we know about this elsewhere in the scriptures? You all have done our course on Nectar of Instruction. So the very first text of Nectar of Instruction was Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodho Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udaro Pastho Vegam, right? So in that verse, what we discussed that anyone who has practiced controlling the six urges is eligible to make disciples all over the world. What were those six urges? Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodho Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udaro Upastho Vegam. These were the six urges. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodho Vegam. The urges of the speech, the urges of the mind, the urges of the anger. And then Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodho Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udaro Upastha Vegam. Jivva means urges of the tongue, urges of the belly, and urges of the genitals. So these six urges who can control is actually eligible and qualified to make disciples all over the world. So the same thing has been uh, again repeated, you can say, in Srimad Bhagavatam. As you can see, Shabde Pare Chanishnatam Brahmani Up Shamashrayam. Up Shamashrayam means fully satiated, fully peaceful, fully tranquil. Should not have hankering for I need this, I need that, and so on. So that is the first limb of bhakti, Guru Padashraya. And you can see the P1 2 that I've mentioned here is the paragraph number 1 and 2 of chapter number 7 of Nectar of Devotion. If you read those two paragraphs, these concepts that we are discussing now, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in those two first paragraphs. Now let us move to the next limb of bhakti. This is the limb number 2. Limb number 2 here, it is Shri Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam. Shri Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam. What does it mean? Taking initiation and instructions from Guru. Taking initiation and instructions from Guru. Shikshanam means instructions. Diksha means initiation. Uh, this is the 98th verse of the second chapter of Bhakti Samrit Sindhu. And the reference given is just the next verse. So previous verse we were discussing, uh, it was 11th canto, third chapter, 21st verse. And for the next limb, it is actually 11th canto, third chapter, the 22nd verse. So just the next verse that we quoted from the for the previous limb. What does this verse says? This verse says, Tatra Bhagavatan Dharman Shikshet Gurva Atma Daivataha Amayaya Anuvrityayais Tushed Atma Atma Dohari Amayaya Anuvrityayais Tushed Atma Atma Dohari. Now let us try to understand this Sanskrit. What is this verse is trying to say? Tatra Bhagavatan Dharman. Tatra Bhagavatan Dharman. So for what purpose we should understand Guru? We should accept a Guru. For what? To learn Bhagavatan Dharman. To learn the dharma of Bhagavat, to learn the dharma of the Supreme Lord. And that is actually, in other words, it is known as bhakti. That is the activity. Bhakti is the activity. Dharma is also an activity. So, uh, we accept Guru to learn Bhagavatan Dharma. That is bhakti. Then Shikshed Gurva Atma Daivatah. And then how should we treat our Guru? What should be our behavior towards our Guru, towards teacher, towards spiritual master? We should treat our Guru as one's own self. Gurva Atma. Atma means my own self. As we treat our own self, we want to be treated as our own self in a very nice way. So what does it mean? One should treat Guru as one's life and soul. Should be given a very high class treatment to our Guru. We should treat Guru as something who is very, very dear to us. Uh, Shikshed Gurv Atma, and then Daivataha. Daivataha means he should be treated like as a worshipable deity. Worshipable deity. For example, when we go to the temple or when we go to our puja room, there is a picture of the Lord, there is a deity of the Lord. So we offer our respects to the deity in the most respectable manner. We offer our respects to the deity. So in a similar way, we should treat our Guru, hmm, as our own self, as our life and soul, and as we are treating a worshipable deity. Uh, Then, how should we learn from him? What should be our mood? What should be our inner uh, behavior when we are approaching this Guru, approaching our spiritual master to learn Bhagavata Dharma? Huh? Then it says, Amayaya Anuvritya. Yes, Amayaya Anuvritya. Yes means by doing sincere service, by doing some simple service. Maybe we can do small service for the Guru, bring some glass of water for the Guru, maybe arrange the seat for the Guru, some simple service. If we can do more service, that is very good, but we should try to assist the Guru in doing some simple service for the Guru. So that means amayaya anuvritya. Yes, amayaya anuvritya means uh, we should not be doing some service for some cheating purpose or with some deceitful purpose. No, with some sincere uh, desire to render some service, desires to offer some service to the Guru. That is how we need to learn. And what happens if we approach the Guru for learning Bhagavatam Dharma, if we treat the Guru as our own self, as a worshipable deity, we offer some sincere service to the Guru, then what happens? Then it says, to shed Atma Atma do Hari. To shed Atma. Here the word Atma actually is meant here for Paramatma. Paramatma means the Lord situated in the heart. What happens by this behavior? Then this satisfies the Paramatma. Tushayat means satisfied. This satisfies the Paramatma in the heart. And then what happens? And then that Paramatma give himself to the devotee. Atma do. Do means dena. Dena means giving. And then that Paramatma gives himself to the devotee. So that's how the process of bhakti works. When we approach the Guru with a proper mood, attitude, proper intention, desire, etc., then the Lord is very much pleased. And when the Lord is pleased, when the Lord is pleased, then he gives himself to the devotee. So this is the limb number 2. We'll go to the limb number 3. Limb number 3 is Vishrambhena Guru Seva. What does Vishrambhena Guru Seva means? Vishrambhena means with confidence, with faith. When we are approaching the Guru, we should not be doubtful. We should have full faith that this individual, this personality actually has the potential to deliver me from this existence of material world. If I follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, if I do proper service to my Guru, if I follow the instructions of Guru properly, I am confident that I will be relieved from this existence of material world and I will be with the Lord, doing humble service for the Lord. Here again the reference is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Now this time it's from a different chapter. It's from the 17th chapter. First of all, we read the words. The verse is Acharyam mam vijaniyam. Acharyam mam vijaniyan. नव न अवमान्यता करहिचित न अवमान्यता करहिचित न मर्त्या बुद्ध्या असूयता सर्वदेवो मयो गुरु सर्वदेवो मयो गुरु. Let us see each line. Acharyam mam vijaniyam. Vijaniyam means knowing. How to know that acharya, how to understand that acharya. Acharyam mam. So this verse has been spoken by Lord Krishna. He's saying Acharyam mam. He's saying treat the Guru same as you are treating me, the Supreme Lord. So understand the Guru as my very self. My is capitalized here because it is coming with reference to Lord Krishna. So here Lord Krishna is saying Acharyam mam. So understand the Guru as my very own self. Know him like that. Not as a representative of Lord, but as Lord himself, like that. So such a high level of respect we need to give to the Guru. Then na avamanyata karhichit. Na avamanyata. Avamanna. Like you would have heard this word in Hindi also. Avamanana. Avamanana means not giving any respect. So then it is saying na avamanyata karhichit. Karhichit means ever. Never ever disrespect the Guru in any way. That is the instruction given in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Also, uh, do not give any disrespect to the Guru. Na martya buddhaya asuyate sarva. Maybe there is a next slide also. No, okay. Then na martya buddhya asuyata sarva. Na martya means don't consider the Guru as an ordinary living entity. Na martya. Martya means somebody who is from the mundane material world. Na martya buddhya. Don't consider him, don't understand him as a mortal being, as a ordinary mortal being. Na asuyata. Asuyata means don't feel any envy towards the Guru. Don't feel envy towards the Guru means, what does it mean? Now I am actually junior to my Guru. Slowly and gradually, I will learn the same things as my Guru is knowledge of, having knowledge of, and I will also once again become Guru. No, that is not the mood. Now, we should not envy the Guru. We should not try to find fault in the teachings of the Guru. Na martya buddhaya asuyata, because Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. Because Guru is actually representative of all the demigods. Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. So these are some very uh, very clear instructions given in Srimad Bhagavatam about how we should treat our spiritual teacher, how we should teach our gurus who are uh, and you can see that such a high level of respect has been given for the spiritual teacher, because for a purpose, because for a reason, because the Guru is the person who becomes the medium, who becomes the uh, uh, who becomes the medium to take you to the Supreme Lord, to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is why such high level of respect has been offered in our scriptures to the Guru. Going to the limb number 4. And you can remember in the discussions we had in the previous class, Srila Rup Goswami is specifically mentioned in these verses that first 3 items in the list are supposed to be given a lot of importance. So 1, 2, 3. So those 3 items we have discussed just now. Now the 4th item is Sadhu Vartama Anu Vartanam. Sadhu Vartama Anu Vartanam. What does it mean? In simple English, it means following in the footsteps of saintly persons. Following in the footsteps of saintly persons. And there is a reference from Skanda Puran, which has been given by Srila Rup Goswami. Sadhu Vartma. Let us first of all understand the Sandhi of Sadhu Vartama Anu Vartanam. Sadhu Vartama. Sadhu Vartama means treading a proper path, the proper path that has been taken by a sadhu. So that is a proper path. And Anuvartanam means to be followed. Like we have discussed in the definition of bhakti, Uttama bhakti, Anushilanam means to be done under the guidance, under some rules. Similarly, Anuvartanam means that path has to be followed, but under some guidance, and that guidance is the guidance of the scripture. So what does proper path here means? What does sadhu vartama actually means? That has been clarified by that has been clarified by in the commentary by Srila. Just a minute. Srila Jeev Goswami. So Jeev Goswami has written this commentary on this verse. He's saying, what does sadhu vartama means? Sadhu vartama means proper path. And what does proper path means? The path composed of rules from Shruti and other scriptures. See, dear devotees, once again, Srila Jeev Goswami is once again stressing the same point. So proper path here, he is not saying that the path followed by the sadhus. Actually, path followed by the sadhus is the same as it is mentioned in the scriptures. So once again, he is bringing back the discussion once again to the Shruti, to the Vedic literature. The path composed of rules from Shruti and other scriptures. So sadhu follows this path. That is why this becomes a proper path. And that is what we need to also follow. That is all we need also to follow. Anuvartanam. And if we follow this path, what will happen? Now let me read the verse for you. Samrigya Shreyasam Hetuhu Pantha Santapa Varjitah Anavapta Shramam Purve Yena Santaha Pratasthire. Yena Santaha Pratasthire. So Samrigya Shreyasam Hetu Pantha Santapa Varjitah. So what it means is that those who follow this proper path, which was followed by the devotees in the past, what does it do? It gives benefit of following types. It gives highest benefit. Highest benefit would mean Shreyam Shreyasam Hetu. It gives highest benefit. And then this pantha is Santapa Varjitaha. Santapa Varjita means there is no santap. That means it is devoid of hardships. And then what happens is uh, anavap anavapta ashramam purve. Anavapta ashramam purve. Ashramam means without any difficulty, uh, they followed this path very easily. Yena santa pratasthire. Yena santa pratasthire. Devotees in the past easily progressed. Now, what does it mean? See, when we are following the path given in the Shruti and the scriptures, what happens is it gives us the highest benefit. It has the potential to take us to the lotus feet of the Lord, to the Golok Dham Vrindavan. That is where it can take us. So, highest, topmost benefit we can get. Then it is devoid of any hardships. Devoid of any hardships means you don't need to manufacture your own path. You don't have to do any experimentation. The path is already has been chalked out for us very well in the scriptures. The acharyas have already given. And then devotees in the past also. Anavapta ashramam purve. Purve means devotees of the past. So devotees in the past also have actually easily progressed. So see what the way they are trying to explain in this verse from Skanda Puran is that, see, if we are going to purchase or if we are going to enter into some activity, for example, if we want to purchase a car, how do we purchase a car? We purchase a car, we ask somebody's feedback. Say, have you used that car? Have how much money you have used? How much money did you spend to purchase that car? From where did you purchase that car? So the person tells you, I purchased that car from so and so dealer. Then is this car good? Yes, this car is very good. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to understand that in the past, if somebody has already purchased that car, are there any lessons to be learned from that activity that the person did? And we try to learn from it. Now here it is already mentioned that when you do this, you'll get the highest benefit. You don't have to bother about I do this, should I do that, should I do that activity. No, it is devoid of any hardships. You don't have to manufacture your own process. And then it is also giving the feedback, like we give feedback on Google. So this restaurant was very good, so the feedback is there. Devotees in the past easily progressed, so you don't need to worry. The references are there, the feedback is there, the path is already well laid out. Only thing for us is to walk on that path. So that is sadhu vartama anu vartanam. Now this reference is from Skanda Puran. uh, there is another reference given, rather there are two more references that Rup Goswami gives on this particular limb, and these references are from Brahma Yamala. This first reference is from Brahma Yamala. Brahma Yamala, sorry. And this is verse number 101 in the chapter 2 Bhaktir Samrat Sindhu. So here the reference given is I will read the first of all. श्रुति स्मृति पुराण आदि पंचरात्र विधिम विना ऐकांतिकी हरेर भक्तिर उत्पातयैव कल्पते. श्रुति स्मृति पुराण आदि पंचरात्र विधिम विना ऐकांतिकी हरेर भक्तिर उत्पातये एव kalpate. Now we are talking about, in the previous slide what we talked about, that we need to follow the path already traveled, already traversed by the sadhus, by the saintly people in the past. And what kind of path these saintly people traverse in the past? They traverse the path of scriptures. Now there could be some people who may not have faith in the scriptures, who may not have faith in the Vedic literature. They may have faith in Lord Krishna, they may have faith in their own guru, but they may not have faith in the scriptures. So for these people, for these category of people, this particular verse has been written. What this verse says: Shruti Smriti Puran Adi Panchratr Vidhim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhakti Utpat Ya Aiva Kalpate. Aikantiki Harer Bhakti. Aikantiki Harer Bhakti means the person or the sadhak has Ekantaki Bhakti. Ekantaki comes from one. Ek means one. So Ekantaki Bhakti means focused only on Guru, focused only on the Lord, focused only on Krishna, focused only on one's own spiritual master. That has been defined as Ekantaki Bhakti. No other. I am not interested. I will go to the temple of the Lord. I will only listen to my Guru, but I don't have faith in the scriptures. So for those people, for those category of people, it has been mentioned Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Adi, Panchratra Vidhim Vina. If you are not following the Vidhi mentioned in the Shruti, Smriti, Puran, and Panchratra, only doing Ekantaki Harer Bhakti. Ekantaki Harer Bhakti means only following the Lord and maybe at the most our spiritual master, but not following any Vedic literature. Then what happens? Utpad Yaiva Kalpate. So single pointed devotion, Aikantaki Harer Bhakti, without regard to Vedic literature, will actually simply create disturbance. So that is what uh, uh, in this verses it is mentioned. And now there are some examples given of Aikantaki Bhakti. Very dedicated to own Guru and Krishna, but not following scriptural rules. But not following scriptural rules. So one example is Sahajiyas. So Sahajiyas are those category of devotees who are very much interested in doing all kind of activities for Lord Krishna, and maybe they also have their own Guru, and under the guidance of the Guru they are doing it. But these activities that they are doing for Krishna under their guidance of Guru are not supported by scriptures. So these are people known as Sahajiyas. They actually imagine, these kind of devotees actually imagine everything to be very, very cheap. For example, uh, imitating Ras Leela of the Lord. Now, when we are doing bhakti, we are given this instruction that we have to associate with the opposite gender in a very, very cautious way. Yeah. We should not associate with the opposite gender in a free manner. Mm. We should not associate with the opposite sex in a free manner. But sometimes these sahajiyas don't regard these scriptural rules, and they would imitate maybe Ras Leela pastimes of Lord Krishna, considering that we are Krishna and these are gopis, and we have now the license to enjoy these ladies, and the ladies have license to enjoy the men. So that is not proper uh, bhakti. That is not proper. So they may be following their guru, and they may be thinking that they are following Krishna, but actually, if this is not according to the uh, Vedic literature, that is actually not bhakti. So sahajiyas is one example. Then there is another example. This is a very interesting example. This example has been given by Jiva Goswami in his commentary itself, and this example is about Lord Buddha. Now, who is Lord Buddha? If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Buddha has been mentioned as one of the incarnations of Lord Krishna. He is one of the avatars. Huh? So he is actually coming from Lord Krishna himself. So, but for what purpose Lord Buddha came? Lord Buddha came mainly for the purpose of uh, uh, at the time when Lord Buddha came, there were practices going on of animal killing, and these people who were doing these practices of animal killing, they were doing in the name of the Vedic literature. So the Vedas says so, that is why we are doing animal killing. They were actually misinterpreting the Vedas and doing these kind of animal killings. In order to stop that kind of animal killing, Lord Buddha actually came. In order to stop the misinterpretation of the Vedas, Lord Buddha came. And what technique did he apply to stop these people? He said that don't follow Vedas. We should not follow Vedas. Vedas are not correct. One should not follow Vedas. So they disregard, or Lord Buddha rejected the Vedas. And by rejecting the Vedas, Lord Buddha told these people that you should follow me, you should not follow the Vedas. Like that, uh, the approach of Lord Buddha was. Now, in this case, you can see what is going on. Although Lord Buddha is an incarnation of Lord Krishna, but he is rejecting the Vedas. So what happens is that the Buddhists, they follow Lord Buddha, who is an incarnation of Lord Krishna, and they follow Lord Buddha, who is at the level of their spiritual master, their own guru. But ultimately, the teachings of Lord Buddha is that reject Vedas. So that is the reason we don't consider uh, uh, worship of Lord Buddha as devotional service. That is the reason we don't consider that as devotional service. So this is another example, as I said, reference given from Brahma Yamala, where it is mentioned that single pointed devotion only to Guru and Krishna and the Lord. Ekantaki Harer Bhakti, single pointed devotion to one's Guru or to Krishna or maybe both. Actually, if it is done without regard to Vedic literature, it is going to create simply disturbance. There is another reference given from the same Brahma Yamala, and here Srila Rup Goswami actually is trying to clarify the meaning of the word Ekantaki Bhakti. So here in the previous verse, as you said, as we read, Ekantaki Harer Bhakti, we kind of understood or assumed a single pointed devotion by some devotee only towards their Guru or towards Lord Krishna or maybe towards both has been defined as Ekantaki Harer Bhakti. Here, Rup Goswami is giving a reference from Yamala, Brahma Yamala, where he's saying that actually we are calling this as an Ekantaki Harer Bhakti. Bhakti of Lord Krishna is Ekantaki, but actually it is not Ekantaki by definition. It is misunderstood. What is the verse? Verse is Bhaktir Ekantaki Veyam Avicharat Pratiyate. Bhakti Ekantaki Veyam Avicharat Pratiyate. Vastutastu Tatha Naiva Yad Ashastriya Tekshyate. So what he's trying to say, Rup Goswami is trying to say is that just now what we understood as ekantaki bhakti, actually it is not ekantaki bhakti. Why? Because avicharat pratiyate. It may appear ekantaki bhakti, but factually it is not ekantaki bhakti. And why? Because it is not based on facts. This type of bhakti, which is following the acharya or Krishna, may appear ekantaki, but actually it is not. Why it is not? Because it is not based on facts. And what is the fact? Fact is that Lord is known through scriptures only. That is mentioned in the scriptures only. What does the scripture say? Like Vedanta Sutra, the third verse of the Vedanta Sutra says, how is the Lord understood? How is Brahma understood? The very first verse of Vedanta Sutra is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now it is the time to inquire about Brahma. Now it is the time to inquire about uh, uh, Brahma Jigyasa. And from where we can do this Brahma Jigyasa, and who is this Brahma? Then the next verse is uh, Janmadyasya yataha, from where everything comes. That is Brahma. Janmadyasya yataha. Athato Brahma Jigyasa, then Janmadyasya yataha. That is Brahma. But the third verse is, how do you understand this Brahma? Shastra Yonitvat. Shastra Yonitvat. So ultimately, the scriptures are to be used to understand Brahma. But if we are disregarding scriptures itself, then actually we are not trying to understand the Lord. So those people who are doing only bhakti for their acharya and only bhakti for Krishna and not respecting the Vedic literature, not having faith in the Vedic literature, that is not actually ekantaki bhakti, because that is not based on facts. And what are the facts? The fact is that the Lord is only understood through scriptures only. Vedanta Sutra says, Shastra Yonitvat. Like that, this is the limb number 4. Then limb number 5 is Sadharma Pracha. Sadharma Pricha means inquiring about bhakti, inquiring about Sadharma. Sadharma, dharma is our various types: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. But Sadharma, Sadharma means the topmost dharma. And the topmost dharma is the bhakti. The topmost dharmic principle is of the bhakti principle. And there is a reference from Naradiya Purana. This is the 103rd verse. So, what does this verse Naradiya Purana says from Naradiya Purana? What does it say? Those who seriously are trying to learn about bhakti quickly attain desired goal. And what is the symptom of seriously trying to learn about bhakti? What is the who will be considered as a serious person who is trying to learn bhakti? One who actually regularly asks questions. So asking question actually is one of the symptoms of seriousness. So once we are accepted the spiritual master, we are doing some service to the spiritual master, we are learning about various uh, spiritual principles, transcendental principles from the spiritual master, they are bound to have some doubts, some difficulties when we are trying to learn things. So we should not be so shy and we should not be so fearful of the guru that we don't even approach him to ask our questions, to put forward our heart. We are feeling this difficulty, we are not able to understand this, and so on. My dear sir, please can you explain that? So one should not be so shy and fearful that he does not even approach the guru. Neither the guru should make oneself unapproachable, and he should be willing to find some time to answer the question of the disciple. So the guru also, it has to be work both ways. The disciple also should approach the guru, and the guru also should be very much available. He should not be unapproachable every time saying that I don't have time, and so on. Should find some time to listen to the disciple, and try to hear from the disciple, trying to solve the difficulties of the disciple. So that is Sadharma Pracha. Now this asking question is something. Also, we should not ask the question only to make a show of asking the question. There has to be some serious, deep internal contemplation. This is the problem I am facing in my life, in my devotional life. Maybe my spiritual master has a solution to it. So let me humbly and nicely put that question towards the spiritual master, have some discussion with the spiritual master, so that I can understand this concept better. I can remove that doubt better. Like that, we need to Sadharm Pracha. And you can see asking questions, making a list of questions, all that is counted as a limb of bhakti. All that has been counted as a important limb of bhakti. Okay. Going to the sixth limb, Krishnarthe Bhogadi Tyaga. Krishnarthe Bhog Adi Tyaga. Hmm? Now, this is coming from Padma Puran. The reference is coming from Padma Puran. And what is that reference? What does it mean, first of all? Krishnarthe Bhogadi Tyaga. Giving up material enjoyment for Krishna's satisfaction. So, we like to see television. We like to see, say, maybe some cricket match is coming up. Uh, but at the same time, now we have also scheduled to go to the temple for some attending some spiritual activity, or for doing some nice function there. So we say that no, we actually reject, or we don't look at the cricket match. Actually, we go to the temple. We spend time with the devotees. We spend time there by doing some worship of the Lord, etc. So what does Padma Puran reference says? One who has given up one's material enjoyment for the pleasure of Lord Hari, the opulence of Vishnu Loka is awaiting. Harim Uddishya Bhogani Kale Tyaktavatastava Vishnu Loka Sthita Sampad Alola Sa Pratikshate. Vishnu Loka Sthita Sampad. The Sampad means the wealth, the opulence of Vishnu Loka. Pratikshate is doing pratiksha. For whom? Harim Uddashye Bhogani Kale Tyaktavatashtava. The one person who tyakta, who rejects, or who sacrifices Bhogani. Bhog means material enjoyment. For whom? For Harim Uddishya, for the purpose of Lord Hari. For such a person, uh, opulence of Vishnu Loka is actually awaiting. Now, here we need to understand that we are not doing it for the purpose of opulence in the Vishnu Loka. The devotees are not hankering for the opulence of Vishnu Loka. Rather, the devotees are not even hankering for Vishnu Loka itself. The devotees only hanker for doing some service for the Lord. And in the process, he becomes purified. In the process, he attains the mercy of his Guru. In the process, he pleases the Lord. And ultimately, as a side benefit, he is given a place in the Vishnu Loka, or Vaikuntha Jagat, or Golok Dham Vrindavan. That is how it works. So the devotee's interest is only seva, going to Vaikuntha, getting opulence of the Vaikuntha, etc., is the side benefit. See, we are not hankering for opulence in the Vaikuntha. That is not the purpose. We are not there. We are not trying to go there for having a nice time there. Although we will have a nice time there, but the real qualification of going to Vaikuntha is to develop this mood of seva for the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So that is what limb number 6, Krishnarthe Bhog Adi Tyaga means. Limb number 7, Dwarka Adi Nivaso. Dwarka Adi. Adi means etc. So it is not only about Dwarka, but it is also about other holy places also, Nivaso. So one who lives in the holy place like Dwarka, etc., that is also a limb of bhakti. Now, here in verse number 105, this is quoted from. Uh, there are three different references given. One is given from Skanda Puran, one is from Brahma Puran, and the another one is from Srimad Bhagavatam. And there were three places that have been mentioned. One is Dwarka, then is Puri, then actually it is Ganga. Hmm. Dwarka, living in a holy place like Dwarka. Adi means two more names have been added in the references, Puri and Ganga. So for Dwarka, it is mentioned. This is verse number 105. So Dwarka, it is mentioned, anyone who lives in Dwarka for 1 year, 6 months, 1 month, or even half a month, whether he is a man or a woman, attains a four-handed form in the spiritual sky. So gets the benefit of Sarupya Mukti. Sarupya means the same form as the Lord, Chaturbhuj Roop. So he attains a four-handed form in the spiritual sky. So that is the benefit of living in Dwarka. I mention it again, we are not looking for the Chaturbhuj form of the Lord. The only idea is when we live in Dwarka, what is the business that we need to do? We need to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord. We need to increase our devotional activity, and we need to associate with the sadhu. When we go to the holy place, what are we supposed to get? We are going to get lots of association of holy people, holy men, holy women. That is what we are going to get. And if we do that, even for 6 months, 1 month, even half a month, what are we going to get? We are going to get four-handed form, Sarupya Mukti. Then Puri means, it is mentioned, the glory of Puri with its surrounding area of 80 miles is inconceivable. The Devatas see everyone residing there as having four arms. So there are a lot of very exalted words has been written in the Shastra about Jagannath Puri. So when it says Puri, it means Jagannath Puri. So it says that the area, the 10 yojans around Puri, which is around 80 miles, the glory of that place is inconceivable, achintya. It is not possible to conceive the glories of that place. Even the devatas, even the demigods, see those people who are residing in Puri as if they are Chaturbhuj, as if they are actually having the form of Lord's Chaturbhuj Roop. That is how the devatas see the inhabitants of Puri. Then Ganga. So the glories of Ganga Devi has also been given. Uh, Ganges water is mixed with dust of Krishna's lotus feet and tulasi leaves. She sanctifies the three worlds, Lord Shiva and other devatas. So she sanctifies the three worlds, Lord Shiva and other devatas. So this is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 19th chapter. And here, why this verse has been spoken? Because Parikshit Maharaj was about to die in 7 days, and he was situated near the banks of Ganga. And that's what this verse have been spoken for the glories of Ganga. So you are now situated on the bank of a holy river, and the the glories of this holy river Ganges is something, uh, it is coming from Krishna's, uh, it is mixed with the dust of the Krishna's lotus feet, and it is also having that fragrance. It is mixed with the fragrance of tulsi leaves. uh, and this river sanctifies the three worlds, Lord Shiva and other devas. So that is the potential, that is the potency of Mother Ganga. So if you are living in a holy place, and a holy river is also flowing nearby, and then it is nothing like that. It is very, very purifying. So this is one of the limbs of bhakti. We go to the eighth limb, Yavad Arthanu Vartita. Yavad Arthanu Vartita. What does it mean? Yavad Arthanu Vartita means accepting only what is necessary. Accepting only what is necessary. This reference comes from Naradiya Puran. Bhaktir Samrat Sindhu verses 108 from the second chapter. Naradiya Puran verse says, Yavata Yavata Syat Swanirvaha Yavata Swat Sanirvaha Swikuryat Tavad Arthavit Adhikye Nyunatayam Cha Adhikye Nyunatayam Cha Chavate Paramarthata. Chavate Paramarthata. What does it mean? A wise person accepts material objects as much as necessary for the maintenance of bhakti. Swanirvaha. Swanirvaha means, nirvaha karna means to live, to sustain ourselves for our maintenance. Yavat syat swanirvaha. Swikuryat tavad arthavit. One who accepts material objects as much as necessary, uh, uh, as much as necessary for the maintenance of bhakti. So here swanirvaha means what? Swanirvaha does not means maintenance of body only. Maintenance of body means if we simply eat some food, uh, if we drink some water, get some shelter, probably we can survive. No, that is not sufficient enough. Uh, so we need something more probably than that. Not many people can survive on only on that. If we want to do bhakti, actually we need some more facilities also. Swanirvaha actually means for the survival of one's bhakti. So some people need more facilities for their bhakti. Some people may need less facility for their bhakti. So here, that is why it has been clarified in the commentary that it is not only for the maintenance of body, it is actually meant for the maintenance of our bhakti. And some people may require more facilities for bhakti, for maintaining their bhakti. Some people may need very less facilities for maintaining their bhakti. So those people who need, who only accept as much as necessary for the maintenance of bhakti, uh, that is really recommended. But if they are accepting more or less than that, adhikye nyunatayam cha, then that person will actually fail to attain the highest goal. So if we are feeling not, if we are materially miserable, we don't have enough money to eat properly, to live properly, uh, we will be very difficult, it will be very difficult for us to remember the Lord. Similarly, if we have too much opulence, then we will be so much distracted by the opulence, then again it will be very difficult to uh, remember the Lord. So we need to accept only as much as it is needed for the sustenance, for the maintenance of our bhakti. Srila Prabhupada, if you read the 16th paragraph of 7th chapter, Srila Prabhupada expanded the meaning in terms of spiritual practices also. Although it is meant for survival of one's bhakti, but Srila Prabhupada expanded the meaning in terms of spiritual practices also. For example, we recommend that devotees chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily. And it takes around 2.5 hours, depending upon speed of various devotees, to chant that many rounds. But some people who are probably a little new, or maybe have spent some time also in doing this bhakti, may feel very difficult to expand to 16 rounds. So here Prabhupada is saying that we should not really force ourselves, that if we are not able to follow the spiritual practices as given by our spiritual master, we should do it gradually, do it properly, and accept only that much amount of spiritual practice we can do it properly, and slowly and gradually we may probably increase those spiritual practices. So Prabhupada expanded the meaning little bit more further to spiritual practices also. Now limb number 9, and this is the second last limb for today's class. There is one more, uh, and this is limb number 9 is Hari Vasar Sammane. Hari Vasar Sammane means respecting the days of the Lord. And what are the days of the Lord? Days of the Lord are Ekadashi, Janmashtami, Ram Navami, where the Lord have appeared, and so on. So these are Hari Vasar Sammane. We should respect those days, respecting the days of the Lord. And here the reference is given from Brahma Vaivarta Puran. What it says: Sarva Papa, Sarva Papa Prashamanam. Sorry, this is the ninth verse. Sarva Papa Prashamanam Punyam Atyantikam Tatha Govinda Smaranam Nrinam Ekadashayam Uposhanam Ekadashayam Uposhanam. Sarva Papa Prashamanam. Once sins are destroyed. Punyam Atyantikam Tatha. Punyam Atyantikam Tatha. Atyantikam means lots of, abundance. Punyam means piety, good credits. One gains abundant pious credits. And Govinda Smaranam Nrinam. Govinda Smaranam Nrinam. Nrinam means the person uh, attains the remembrance of Govinda. One Nrinam means, Nar means the person who doing it. Uh, that person attains remembrance of Govinda. And what is that activity? Ekadasham Uposhanam, by fasting on Ekadashi. So we do some respect, we offer our respect to these Hari Vasar on the days when the Lord, which are associated, connected with the Lord. We should respect those days. And one of those days is Ekadashi. So by fasting on Ekadashi, we express our respect to Lord Hari. And Srila Prabhupada in paragraph number 17 of Nectar of Devotion explain what does real reason for fasting is. Real reason of fasting is not to simply remain hungry on that day. The real reason of fasting is minimize our bodily demands. Our bodily demands, food is one of the bodily demands. So we minimize our demands. So when we don't have to eat food, we generally don't have to cook. We don't have to purchase those items that we will need for cooking. We don't have to get the vegetables, get all that. Don't need to go to the kitchen for that long period. So we minimize our bodily demands. We don't give food to the body, so we minimize it. And what do we maximize? Because we are not spending time in preparing food, prasad, etc., we maximize the time for doing shravan and kirtan of the Lord. So we minimize our bodily demands and maximize time for shravan and kirtan of the Lord on those harivasar days, on the days of the Lord. So that is how we need to uh, conduct ourselves on those days. Similarly, now the last limb for today's class, limb number 10. And if you can see, if you can remember, these are the do's. The first 10 limbs in the list of 64 were the do's. And this limb is Dhatri Ashwathadi Gauravam. Dhatri Ashwathadi Gauravam. What does it mean? Respecting Ashwatha tree. Ashwatha means the banyan tree, and Dhatri means the amla tree. Amla means that Indian gooseberry. You might have eaten the murabba of amla, or or amla itself has been a very nourishment, full of vitamin C and so on. A very nice fruit is there, amla. So Dhatri means amla, Ashwatha means banyan, and Adi. So there are a lot of things in the Adi. huh? There are 6 items. So the Skanda Purana verse actually mentions 6 items in Adi. Dhatri, Ashwatha, Adi. What are these verse from Skanda Purana? It mentions. It mentions the Ashwatha, the banyan tree, the Tulasi tree, Amalaki tree, the cows, the Brahmanas, and the Vaishnavas. The cows, the Brahmanas, and the Vaishnavas. So these are the 6 items mentioned in the verse number 110. Ashwatha Tulasi Dhatri Go Bhumi Sura Vaishnavaha Pujitaha Pranataha Dhyataha Kshapyanti Nrinam Agham. So these are the 6 items that has to be worshipped uh, by the people who are serious about devotional service. So why Ashwatha tree has been mentioned? Ashwatha tree has been mentioned because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna mentions Ashwatha as one of the vibhutis of the Lord. Also, if you remember chapter number 15, there also Lord Krishna gives a reference of Ashwatha tree, Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham, where Lord Krishna compares the material world with a banyan tree. Then, in the commentary of this verse, Srila Jiva Goswami explains the importance of the cows. So Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, Tulasi, we all know, we all respect them, but he specifically mentions the about the cow, why we should, and how we should respect the cows. There is a verse in Gautamiya Tantra. It says, one should massage the cows, feed them, and circumambulate them. And when we do that, then Lord Gopal is pleased when the cows are also pleased. One should massage them. Massage the cows means we rub our hands on the body of the cows. The cow was very, very pleased when we do like that. And we feed them nice green grass, fresh grass, and then take parikrama of the cows. Then what happens? Lord Gopal is pleased when the cows are also pleased. So these are the 10 limbs, dear devotees, for today's class, which we wanted to discuss. Uh, I hope the discussion you found was nourishing, was knowledgeable enough for you to understand about these 10 limbs. If you are already doing these 10 limbs, then very good. If you are not doing these 10 limbs, then you can slowly try to incorporate these 10 limbs in your devotional practices. So with that, we would like to uh, put this class to a rest, and I would like to then do the glorification here. All glories to the nectar of devotion, all glories to Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, all glories to Srila Rup Goswami, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any questions, any comments, any takeaways, we can discuss now. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes,
Dandavad.
Dhanavad.
Yeah, it's really very, very nourishing. As always, your way of explaining is excellent and benefited a lot from this today's class.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm following 2 or 3 maximum. So, but came to know there are 10. So long way to go, but at least I know the way now.
No problem. That is
To
fine.
go.
There's
Yeah,
always
it's,
sometimes when we have to start. So that is the reason we are studying this.
yes,
Yeah.
really, maybe back of subconscious level, little bit knew about them, but
Mm.
not in as good way the way you explained, and
Mhm.
the number you have explained 10. So we
Okay.
have to score 10. So 2 is too little. So
Mhm.
I think others are small, but only my problem sometimes happens.
Mm.
They're confusing things.
Mhm.
The confusion is between me and my mind and my understanding. Only bhakti without reading is not complete. It means I have to go through holy scriptures also.
No, no. It is not about reading. It is about faith in the scriptures. A person who is illiterate, a person who does
Ji,
not know Sanskrit, Hindi, English, he can also do bhakti, but he should
ji,
have faith in the scriptures and
ji,
should hear from persons who knows the scriptures. So simply by
ji,
hearing
ji,
also you can know the conclusion of the scriptures, the important conclusion of the scriptures. There is a
ji,
so here the important aspect is faith, confidence
ji,
in the scriptures. So some
ji,
people
Guruji.
say, some people may be there who may say that I follow my guru and
Ji,
I follow only the Lord, but I don't have faith in the scriptures. They disregard the scriptures. So
ji, Guruji.
for those people, it has been mentioned what we have discussed today. Yeah. So that will not
That's a
work.
good thing. I came to know today. The
Hmm.
guru without scriptures knowledge is not complete
Yeah.
guru.
So that
That
is
is a good
Guru's
thing.
business is
Yeah.
what? What is Guru's business? Guru's business is to propagate scripture, propagate
जी,
shastra.
जी.
So
The
and
sorry.
hmm, yeah,
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
बताइए.
Worldly meaning is gu means gandh and ru means remover. So he is remover of gandh from us, dirt of every
Yeah,
ignorance.
these are some popular ways of or maybe some interesting ways to explain to people what is the role of guru. But
जी,
shastric understanding of guru today we understood from
जी
Srimad
गुरु
Bhagavatam, where it is saying that
जी,
okay, what is business of guru? Guru's business is to be shabda nishnat and pare nishnat. Shabda nishnat
जी,
means expert in the scriptures. Para
जी,
nishnat
जी,
means expert in chanting and hearing about the supreme Lord. And then what is should be the inner consciousness should be upashamayam.
जी,
He should be very very renounced. He should be very very
जी.
tranquil. He should be very very peaceful. He should be
Satisfied.
satisfied, satiated, santushta,
जी, जी,
like that.
जी, जी, जी गुरु
So
जी.
those are the
Now,
qualifications of a guru. Yeah.
you
हरे
taught
कृष्णा
us
प्रभु जी।
during Mad Bhagavad Gita 3-step hearing, chanting, and teaching. So
Hmm.
if we follow these three also, we can, or like
Hmm.
you taught us once about the
Yes.
desires,
Yeah.
Prakriti and Parmeshwar.
Yeah.
So,
So
these
Prabhuji,
are,
maybe
ji,
if there are more devotees who are interested in asking
ji,
questions,
ji,
maybe
ji, ji.
we can
Thank
go
you,
to
Guru.
them also.
Ji,
Yeah.
Guru.
हरे
So
कृष्णा
Thank
प्रभु
you,
जी।
Guru.
yes, Rakesh
Dhanwad.
ji, बताइए. दंडवत प्रभु जी.
प्रभु जी,
हाँ जी.
एक प्रभुपाद का एक मैंने कोट पढ़ा था जिसमें लिखा हुआ था कठोपनिषद का उदाहरण देते हुए
हाँ
कि
जी.
गुरु को खाली स्क्रिप्चर्स में ही परफेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, बट ही शुड बी रियलाइज सोल इन ब्राह्मण द
हाँ,
एब्सोल्यूट।
ब्रह्मनिष्ठम श्रोत्रियम समित पाणिम ब्रह्मनिष्ठम, वो उपनिषद से ही है. रियलाइज्ड मतलब
रियलाइज
स्क्रिप्चर को शब्द निष्णात इस the verse that we discussed today also, also has this word called Shabda Nishnat, expert in Shabda. Expert in Shabda. One does not become expert in Shabda simply by memorizing verses. No. Expert in Shabda means understanding Shabda, realizing Shabda.
So he will be
What?
called realized soul in Brahman.
Yeah, that is realized soul in Brahman. He should understand what the Shabda says. He should already have experienced all those things. He should be a realized soul.
ओके प्रभु जी.
Yeah.
एक प्रभु जी
देखिए,
एकांत
हाँ,
एकांत की
बताइए.
भक्ति में आपने बताया था कि डिवोटी एक स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर को फॉलो करता है और कृष्ण को फॉलो करता है, मगर शास्त्र को फॉलो नहीं करता है. अब वो गुरु को फॉलो करता है ये सोचते हुए कि गुरु मुझे शास्त्र के अनुसार पढ़ा रहा है, मगर वो शास्त्र के अनुसार ना पढ़ा के उनको रासलीला में या इधर उधर लगा रहा है, तो क्या ऐसे में गुरु को चेंज कर देना चाहिए?
हाँ, चेंज कर देना चाहिए. That is not a
जी
proper guru, because the
जी
guru
जी.
is not doing his business properly. The guru is
ओके
teaching you something which is against the scriptures, and that cannot be accepted. So that is why guru, sadhu, and shastra, all three need to be satisfied.
यस प्रभु जी.
Yeah. For example, yes, Pradeep ji. Yes, Pradeep ji.
That's all. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I was giving one example. Like there is a Leela of Bali Maharaj. When Vaman Dev came and asked for 3 steps, so Bali Maharaj said that, okay, I am happy to give it to you. But his guru, Shukracharya, who was the guru of demons, he said that, my dear Bali, this person who is coming as a small dwarf Vamana is actually no other than Lord Vishnu himself. He's trying to rob you of all your opulences, all your kingdom, etc., all your wealth. So you should not actually listen to this person. So Shukracharya was giving him an ill advice. So Bali Maharaj actually did not followed the advice of Shukracharya. Say, on my doorsteps, the Lord himself has come. And if he is asking something that is most great fortune for me, I should take benefit of this opportunity. And you are giving me an advice which is taking me away from the Lord. So I'm not going to follow you. So Bali Maharaj himself rejected his guru Shukracharya in that circumstance. Yeah.
I just want to tell you, we are learning few things every day, how we should be doing bhakti,
Okay.
and that is a good thing.
So did you find the class, I mean, understandable, comprehensible?
It's getting deeper and deeper, but by listening, we'll get something, and something will come out.
Okay, good.
It's not that I'm going to be expert after listening to you.
No. Nobody is going to expert. It is a gradual process. It takes time, step by step. So we are not expecting also that people will become experts just by one class. See, the bhakti process is gradual. One has to listen, apply, experience, uh, relish the higher taste, and then only the confidence of applying more, doing more actually comes. You cannot force bhakti to someone. It cannot be forced.
The problem with our generation, nobody taught us this kind of thing before. And now we are at the stage where we are eager to understand and listen. So it's coming.
Okay. Don't worry, sir. So we have to start somewhere, and we should not look our age only from this lifetime perspective. We have started now. And if we perfect ourselves in whatever time we have, we go to the Lord, or we get a very good destination, because we have developed that curiosity, we have developed that Brahma Jigyasa. So the Lord will certainly take care, and the results are anyway going to be very good, whatever it may be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, very nice.
क्वेश्चन हो रहा है प्रभु जी.
हाँ, पूछिए प्रभु जी, पूछिए.
प्रभु जी, आपने अभी लिम नंबर 6 में बताया डिवोटीज इंटरेस्ट शुड बी ओनली इन सेवा एंड नॉट इन मुक्ति. बट अभी हमने गीता में पढ़ा 17:25 में, उसमें लिखा हुआ है कि सब प्रकार के यज्ञ तप तथा दान को तत्शब्द कहकर समाप्त करना, संपन्न करना चाहिए. ऐसी दिव्य क्रियाओं का उद्देश्य भवबंधन से मुक्त होना है. तो इसका क्या मतलब हुआ प्रभु जी? मतलब वहां तो हम चाह रहे हैं भवबंधन से मुक्त हों.
Yeah, but what is the ultimate teaching of that verse? It is saying that Om Tat Sat. even if
Yes.
we are doing our activities of yajna dan tapa, are expected to be spiritual activities, are expected to be devotion, something related with spirituality, transcendence, yajna dan tapa. But even if we are doing yajna dan tapa, our motivation may be materialistic. For example, we might be doing yajna for gaining some siddhis. We might be doing some tapa for uh, again for some material benefit, or maybe we might be giving some dan to become more famous. But if in the end we say Om Tat Sat, the idea is that despite best of our efforts, there can be some material contamination in our consciousness when we are doing activities as nice as yajna dan and tapa. But in order to remove all that auspiciousness, if at the end of that activity we remind ourselves that it is Om Tat Sat, actually I am doing this activity for the Supreme Lord, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, then we are successful. So
तो
ultimately that
इस भवबंधन से मुक्त होने का हमें मन में रखना चाहिए कि इसके लिए हम कर रहे हैं, इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
देखिए, if we are doing only for the desire of bhav bandhan se mukti, if we are
जी.
if your sole desire is mukti, then it is material in nature.
Yes, प्रभु जी.
It has to be for the service of the Lord. The desire for service of the Lord has to be there, and that desire actually it is not something. See, the way it is, the way it works is, when you love somebody, the way the process of bhakti works is, when you come in the contact of a devotee, then you fall in love with the character of the devotee, and you want to do it for the devotee. Now, if you read the character of Srila Prabhupada, you are so much attracted by the purity of the character of Prabhupada that even if Prabhupada has not asked, you are doing some activity for Prabhupada. That is actually love. So that's what the devotee wants. He starts to love the Lord, he starts to love the devotee, and out of love he wants to do something for the Lord and for the devotees. That's how it works. If you simply ask people that you have to go and serve, that might sound a little too much, because the living entity is so selfish in nature that just like that he is not interested in serving someone. But when the living entity develops a loving relationship with the Lord and the devotees, he wants to serve them out of his own sweet will, voluntarily. That's how it works.
Okay,
Guruji,
Prabhuji,
last quick question.
Hmm.
Is it possible?
Yes,
What
Prabhuji. Just a minute. I would like to welcome Jaymala Mataji, Vasudevan Prabhu, Nandakishore ji, Jeevan Radha Prabhu, and Dr. Ishwar, who is a little silent today. So welcome all the devotees whom I could
Hare
not.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Vasudevan Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, it was a good class. We were all in listening mode.
Okay,
So,
Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Yes, Ishwar Prabhuji. Yes, Hare Krishna.
very nice class and very encouraging. My only query remains, and which perhaps may not be answered immediately, is that I am in the process of increasing this number. I have reached up to 10 rounds per day, in
Oh,
spite of getting up at 4 o'clock and
okay.
sleeping at 9:30. But
Okay.
still, it's only halfway. So
Don't worry. Don't
how,
worry.
how to reach that magic of 16? I would like to know your way of doing things so that
So,
we can be
Prabhuji,
more
just do it.
practical. Yes, yes.
Just do it. That
Okay,
is the only
okay,
formula. One fine day, you
okay.
just sit there and see, I am going to finish 16, and that will be over that day itself. Don't think too much.
I think then we'll have to compromise some other worldly things,
Don't worry.
obviously.
The Lord will give you the intelligence to do that.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Yeah.
Namaskar.
Yeah. Okay.
Hare
Kartar Prabhu, you were asking something? Yeah.
Anji, may serve my last question quick. What
Hmm.
about then Ramakrishna Paramahansa? He
Haji.
didn't have any bookish knowledge because he was not educated. So,
Mhm.
and still he was a Brahm Guru.
Mhm. See, you
So to attain without
generally in our
knowledge of
classes,
scripture.
we don't criticize other personalities because uh, it doesn't appear to be in good taste with general public.
Ji
But
Guruji,
we are giving you a simple formula.
Ji
Check
Guruji,
check is the basis. The basis is Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Any
Ji,
personality, if they are following Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra,
Ji,
then they can be called under the purview of bhakti, Uttama bhakti.
Ji Guruji,
Otherwise, they have to
Ji,
be kept out of Uttama bhakti. No matter how much famous they are, how much elevated they are in the eyes of
Ji,
general public, but we are
Ji,
not defining bhakti by any general personality. We are defining bhakti by very learned scholars like Srila Rup Goswami, who are not
Ji
only
Guruji,
scholars but who are also practitioners of
Ji
Uttama
Guruji,
bhakti.
Ji
So
Guruji,
that is how you need to test.
Ji Guruji.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Jaimala
Guruji.
Mataji. Yes, madam. Yes, Mataji. Please ask your question. What
Hare
do you want to
Krishna,
say?
Prabhu. Yes,
Yes,
thank you
Mataji.
so much for the insightful class. We learned a lot of new things, Prabhuji. Especially, my doubt is about Lord Buddha.
Mhm.
Yes. It was told in the class that we don't accept his teachings because he rejected the Vedas. Though
Correct.
it is accepted that he is an avatar of Lord
Lord
Krishna.
Krishna. Correct. Yes.
Uh, so,
Yes.
uh, um, is it to be understood that scriptures, that is the Vedas,
Mhm.
uh, in some way are more superior than the Lord Himself?
See how
Because
to understand the Lord.
yes,
They are not.
because
Hmm.
in the Bhagavad Gita itself,
Hmm.
Lord says that He is the compiler of the Vedas.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
So
So it means that he is the supreme creator and Vedas are his creation. So
mhm.
then why do we give so much of, I mean, more prominence to scriptures than the Lord himself?
See, the scriptures are actually the uh, manifestation of the Lord Himself in the form of words. So scriptures are no different from the Lord Himself. When you touch Bhagavad Gita, when you touch the verses of Bhagavad Gita, when you read them, actually you are touching the Lord. That's how the scriptures are. That's how the scriptures have been defined in Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll find you a verse for that. It is known as Shabda Brahman. The scriptures are known as Shabda Brahman. The Lord in the form of Shabda, in the form of words. Like when you see the Lord's form holding the flute, so this is the form of the Lord in the form of words. They are no different than the Lord. So
Oh,
as we also mentioned in our one of the references I gave you, Shastra Yonitvat. So Shastra Yonitvat means the Lord has to be understood, has to be seen through the eyes of the scriptures. Once there was a meeting between Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. He was giving a lecture to several of his disciples, and that arrangement was in the temple. Soon the darshan of the Lord were open, and some of the disciples who were sitting in the class, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was giving the class. Some of his disciples got up and took the darshan of the deity, and then came back and sat in the class. So Bhakti Siddhant Maharaj did not appreciate that activity of their disciples. He said that, what did you see? You saw nothing. You saw only paint and wood and some metal. That's only what you saw. Actually, if you want to see the Lord, you have to hear. The Lord has to be seen through ears, not through eyes. That's what Srila Prabhupada always used to say. And when we are hearing Shabda Brahma, when we are hearing this transcendental sound, that is very much the Lord Himself. This is no different than the Lord. Shabda Brahma. That is what Shabda Brahma Nishnata and Para Brahma Nishnata. So there are two activities: Shabda Brahma Nishnat and Para Brahma Nishnat. Once Srila Prabhupada, as I was mentioning in my class when I presented on Srila Prabhupada, so Srila Prabhupada collected a lot of donation for the Bombay temple. and the temple was built. But after that, Srila Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, and the devotees introduced Abhay Babu, Srila Prabhupada, to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. Yeah. They say that, oh, Abhay Babu actually helped us a lot in collecting donations and so on. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj remembered Srila Prabhupada. Yes, I know. I remember this person. He likes to hear. So Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj did not pay any attention to the fact that he collected a lot of donation, but he gave a lot of importance. He gave a lot of importance to that he likes to hear. That's what Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj liked a lot. So hearing about the Lord is not an ordinary activity. It is the sound of the Lord. He is the Lord himself that is entering into your ears. When you say Krishna, that means Lord Krishna in reality is entering into your ears. That's what it is. So Shabda Brahma, the words, that the book that you hold, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, is no different than the Lord. That's how you need to understand. It's not superior. The Lord is not superior, or the book is not superior. They are the same. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah. I think that is a lot of time we have spent on question answer. Those were very good questions, very good queries. Already Sad Dharma Pricha, right? So you are making a lot of devotional activity by asking these questions. And whatever I have heard from devotees like Prabhupada and my senior Guru Janas, I'm trying to explain that to you also. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to do that devotional service, and thank you for doing this devotional service yourself. Thanks a lot. We will put the class to rest. The next class will be on 11th, on 19th, 19th of September. 18th of September, I plan to organize an on-site class for the devotees that I am connected with in Bangalore. That will be on a Sunday. So those devotees who like to meet in person or attend that class in person can very well take that opportunity. I don't mind if the number is more or less. I'll just meet those who are available. Even if there are 5 devotees, we are going to meet. If they are more, then that's more and good. But that's how we will go about it. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी उस क्लास से हम भी
Krishna
कनेक्ट हो सकते हैं क्या?
Okay, I will try to do it. Last time we had a difficulty with internet. This time I'll try to see if we can do some good arrangement. If
Hare
possible, I'll try to extend that to the online devotees also. Okay, I will try. Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.